Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lili Nishmasi Mimirosu Rismas Mordechai. A little bit more geschmack to the good morning. I just got my suitcase. We're in business. So, Be'ezer Hashem, we are here in South Africa, in Madikwe. We see Neflois Habayra every minute. I prepared the shir right here at this table, and right behind me over here, because it's very tall trees, the only animals you can really see are the large animals, like elephants and giraffes. But of course, during shir, they're not going to appear. That's just the way it is. But we saw, Baruch Hashem, beautiful things, got to spend time with the family, quality time. We have the internet under control. And I got my Sfarim, I got my plug for my computer, so everything's going to be great, Be'ezer Hashem. Because we're on the safari, I just want to read two quick emails. First one is from Casriel Silver from Toronto. Another amazing example of stretching yourself for Torah. When I'm in a unique situation where I feel I can't fit in the daf, my learning, I'll think of your example. Hashem should bless your efforts to be present with your family, that they should really feel your efforts. Next time you go on vacation, I'm Be'ezer Hashem volunteering to come with you and handle all the running around. Casriel Silver, it's so nice of you. You know, Gary also volunteered to come with me. Maybe I'll take him up on that offer. Or maybe Casriel, you never know. Asi Kent. Hello, Rebelli. Thank you for showing us what consistency looks like even on Ben Azmanim. In terms of the Shev Val Taisa issue, I have the same question every Sphira, but it's not that simple, and he explains. Back in Yevamis, we saw that the Yefas Toyar, the Lashon of Asiya by hair, refers to cutting the hair. So Shev al Tasa would mean shave, but don't cut the hair. It's a big shaila. Even if you want to go with Rebbe Kiva that the point of Asiya by hair is nivel, making it look bad, that still doesn't help. Could be that shaving is more of a nivel than growing a hadras panim. Maybe it depends on the panim and how much hadras there is without the beard. In your case, I think you're fine. Smiley face, hatzlacha with the shir, you should be zoicha to really enjoy your trip. Asi Kent, since tainus. I love when people put in where they started the shir, yishkoyach for that, tainus. In chutzif, we're in the middle of a shir over here. Like a sort of a chicken kind of thing running around over there. The sponsor for the koil is anonymous, zchus, all the new people that joined. The second sponsor for the koil, Avi and Rachel Kamiansky, in memory of Rachel's mother, Reza Gittel Bas Esther, Rita, should be a militzi Shara on behalf of us and our children. The third, parents koil for the day, Refuah Shlaima from Mirel Yita, Bas Chaya Tzipora Fega. And the sponsor of the Masechta is Lili Nishmas Yosef Baruch ben Moshe Aaron and Lili Nishmas Moshe Elazar ben Shalom, and for the hatzlacha b'chol hayanim for my children. The second sponsor of the Masechta, Jeff Rosner and zchus my son Yosef Simcha Chaim ben Sara Klein Refuah Shlaima. Parnas HaChodesh, we have 5 of them. By the Lock and Lebovic families, Lakewood NJ, because Torah is the best gula. Parnas HaChodesh Shragi Chafetz RL149 as a zchus for my family, myself, and for the Tzaddikim of RL Hatzalah. Parnas HaChodesh 3, Lina Nishmas Zechariah ben Moshe. Parnas HaChodesh 4, Benjy and Estie Israel Family in memory of our Zayde Moshe Menora and 3 cousins, Sara Klein, Ricki Racheli Menora on the 12th yard side. The Neshamas should all have an aliyah. Parnas HaChodesh number 5, Dr. Avrum Epstein in memory of my precious Southern Belle, wife, mother, grandmother, Rita Gay Epstein. I don't know why, and I said the same thing from Avi and Rachel. Didn't choke me up as much as by Doctor. I don't know why. He says his precious Southern Belle. Parnas HaShavua for Shidduch for Talia Esther Bas Tzivia. Parnas HaYom, Simcha and Leah Weichbrod, Lili Nishmas, Yaakov ben Chaim Gavriel, his 7th yard side, I think it is. Pinny Taub, Mazel Tov to my son Moti, baby girl born this Shabbos, lots of nachas. And by Austin family, the Austins, Lili Nishmas, our Zayde Moshe Yitzchok ben Eliyahu Kohen on his 15th yard side. There's a bunch of them doing the daf, Yishkoyach the Austins. And Golden Dove Alert, Mazel Tov to Levi, who attended in Baltimore, and Malka Leibus on the birth of their son, Mazel Tov, and to the grandparents, Feivel, and Chaim and the official and Sara Gross. Well, special mazel tov to dotting siblings and other relatives, some who did and some who did not attend the shir in Baltimore. V'chulu. Officials mitzvah motivated and Kesubos commitment. There's a whole thing about his commitment, but I'm not 1,000% sure, so I can't really announce it until I speak to the people that are in charge of it. But he wants to do something very big for volume 2 of Kesubos. Stay tuned. And if you see an elephant walking by, just wave your hand. Maybe I'll see you through the screen or something. Now, Rabbi Isai, I just want to mention once again, this Motsei Shabbos, a live shir, the first time ever, and perhaps the last time until the next safari, in South Africa, in Johannesburg, this Motsei Shabbos. If you're interested in attending, please contact Rav Mofson for details. Rav Mofson. Rabbi Isai, here we go. We're in Daf Lamed Vav today. I'm going to start from Daf Lamed Hey Amud Beis. The new sugya, we spoke about it yesterday. We started it. We could repeat it. And today we're going to go through all these cases, very gishmaka stuff. Ton Rabbanon, 5 lines from the bottom. Arayos ushnius la'arayos. And we're going to explain exactly what arayos are, what's shnius la'arayos. Ein lahem loy knas v'loy pitui. There's no knas if somebody violates an arayos, a sister, a mother, arayos. We'll see what it means. There's no knas. V'loy pitui. And if you seduce them, you don't have to pay a knas for that either. Hameme enes. A 12-year-old or a girl up till 12 whose mother, Nachamal, Hamime Enes, a ktana, here's something walking behind, a ktana, who's, I still made that up, but yeah, it's a zebra right over here. I don't know if you saw that, but okay. That's why I was confused. No, that's not why. A girl who doesn't have a father, whose mother married her off under the age of 12, she could at any given time say, I don't want to be married to this man. Now, since she was married, ein lo knas, if somebody seduced her or was ma'anas her, no knas. Ailanas, a woman who cannot have children, ein lo knas, v'lo pitui. We're going to explain what that means. The husband accused her of being mizana before they got married, ein lo knas, v'lo pitui. We said, Maya Rais, says the Gemara. That's where we're holding. Maya Rais, what does this mean? Umay shnius la Rais. Ilay ma Arayis Mamesh. If you're going to tell me that Arayis means all those who are related to you, and your Chayiv Kares, and what does Shnios mean? Midivrei Soifrim, only Midar Rabbanan. And this I always found so interesting that a lot of people don't know this. Those who learned Yivamis know. Your own grandmother, whether it's your father's mother or your mother's mother, is not Aser min HaTorah. It's the Rabbanan, Shnios. So if you're going to tell me that that's the case, now don't forget that it says in the pasuk, V'loi si Elisha. I don't have it really on the chart. V'loi si Elisha. There has to be the ability to go ahead and marry this girl that one was ma'anis, if she agrees to it. Says the Gemara, but it can't be that Shnios means only midarabanan yasr, like a grandmother. Why? Even the midaraisa chazale, since midaraisa, there's no iser, amay ein lo knas. It fits into the pasuk v'lo si Elisha. Elo arayis chayvim Mrs. Bezdin. So let's differentiate arayis and Shnios. Arayis means they're so severe that Bezdin will kill a person who is over on it. And Shnios means Chayve Krisis, 4 lines down from Lamed Vav Amud Aleph. Shnios means those not as severe, Bezdin cannot kill them, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care of them. Avol Chayve Lavim Yesh Lahem Knas. However, the third category of only a chiyuv of a lav, you're only over in a lav, then you do have to pay a knas. Umani, Shimena Timnihi. So we're doing a nice chazara here. If you go to chart number 1 in this case, Machlokes Shimena Timni and Reb Shimon ben Menashe. Shimena Timni says, V'loi siel isha, and you shall marry this woman that you violated if she agrees, means that there has to be the ability to perform Kiddushin, that the Kiddushin grabs. Whereas there's certain Isurim that are so severe the Kiddushin doesn't even grab. Reb Shimon ben Assi says, Haru'uya l'kaima. V'lo yisrael means you have to be able to be married to her. She should be your wife, meaning for the long run. So just because Kiddushin grabs, but Chacham say you have to get rid of her. So Melo, that's not really v'lo yisrael. So, but Shimon Atimi says, Chai v'lavim, where the Kiddushin grabs, yes, you can't remain married to her, but at least it grabs, so there's a knas. And Ikidamri, let's say differently. Some say differently. Arayos, Chayvi Mrs. Bezin Vichavi Kris. Let's put it in all in one category. What does Arayos mean? All the Misais of the world, whether it's from Bezdin or HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Krisos, Bezdin. Shniyos, and what does Shniyos mean? Chayvi Lavim, Sefakert. Chayvi Lavim is also a problem, doesn't get a knas, doesn't get pitui. Mani. Rabbi Shimon ben Menassi, and that's the one in red, who says that even Chayvi Lavim doesn't fit into the possibility. Next case, we're going through all the cases of all the women who don't get a knas. Hamimanis. Again, a mother married off her young daughter, she's 7 years old, and married her off, she couldn't deal with her, she couldn't handle her. It's like what we do today, like adoption. Her husband died, this girl doesn't have a father, we're worried, she's concerned that this girl is going to misbehave, so she marries her off, gives her away at the age of 7. This girl has the ability to say, I don't want to be married to this man. But she doesn't have a knas. Mashma hamenes ein lo knas v'lo pitui haktana b'alma isla. Seems like that if she's just a ktana, there is a knas. Mani, who does this go according to Rabbanan Hidamri, ktana yesh lo knas. Now, let's go to this chart 2. We have 3 categories. Again, we have the ktana, and that goes up till she sees Simonim, she has Cyrus, 12. From 12 to 12 and a half, she's called a Naira. And from 12 and a half on, for the rest of her life, she's called a Begeres. We're going to be talking about a Begeres, a Naira, a Ktana today. So, this goes according to Rabbanan, who say that a Ktana has a Knas. Says the Gemara Ima Seifa. We have a big problem. If this goes according to Rabbanan, and only according to Rabbanan, then how would he explain the Seifa? It can't go according to Rabbanan. It's going to have to go according to somebody else, perhaps Rameir. How do you have the beginning talking according to one mandamar and the end talking about another mandamar? Emiseifa islandness and the loy knas, pitui islandness doesn't have a knas, as we just said a second ago. Also the Rameir, and that goes according to somebody else called Rameir. Domaktano ein lo knas. Why doesn't an islandness have a knas? Because an islandness is considered a ktana forever. She never matures. Since she can't have children, she's halachically considered a ktana, and Reb Meir holds a ktana doesn't have a knas. So the Reisha is Rabbanan says ktana does have a knas. Seifa is doesn't have a knas. What's going on here? She goes directly, so let's rephrase it. She goes directly from green to blue. There is no nairos. She becomes a begeres. So ask the Gemara, Reish Rabbanim say for Rameir, how could that be? How can you say the Reish is Rabbanim and the end is Rameir? You'll say that everything goes according to Rameir and a Ketana doesn't have a Knas. So what's Pshatim Memenes? Memenes, Savalak Rabbi Yehuda. The Rabbi Yehuda holds that even a Naira in the red, even an older girl could do Miyun. It doesn't end as she turns a Naira at 12 with Simanim. You could prolong it, and she could refuse her husband even 12 and 3 months, even after she has Siman. As the Gemara, does Rameir hold like Rabbi Yehuda? Now we're going to show that Rameir doesn't. You're telling me the whole thing is Rameir and he holds like Rabbi Yehuda, but Rameir doesn't hold like Rabbi Yehuda. What age could she do Miyun? Once you see Shtei Cyrus Simanim, no more. Rabbi Yehuda Omer 2 Cyrus, but it means that there's so much 2 Cyrus that it looks like there's more black. Cyrus is black. Lavan is skin. There's more Cyrus than Lavan. Two of them. That's how long they grew. So it's a longer share. So in other words, Rabbi Yehuda and Rameir are not in agreement here. Ella. So what are we going to say? Rabbi Yehuda. The whole Bryce is Rabbi Yehuda, not Rabbanan, not Rameir. It's only Rabbi Yehuda. And that, what? Ubektano savar like Rameir, and he holds like Rameir
that there's no knas for a ketana. As the Gemara, that also can't be. But we saw law. When Rav was saying over and explaining a Mishnah later on in 4 daf, he says, Zu divrei Rav Meir. The Mishnah goes according to Rav Meir that there's no knas. Now wait a minute. You're telling me Rav Yehuda also agrees that a ketana doesn't have a knas. So what should Rav say? Rav should say, Zu, it goes according to Rav Meir and Rav Yehuda. But Rav never said that. Rav only said it goes according to Rav Meir. Obviously, Rav Yehuda is not agreeing with Rav Meir. B'misa, and if you're correct, Zu divrei Rav Meir v'Rav Yehuda m'bailei. Okay, says the Gemara, I'll tell you what. Dupshat. It's not Rabbi Meir. It's not Rabbana. It's not Rabbi Yehuda. Haitana. It's a different Tana. First, he holds like Rabbi Meir that the Ketana doesn't have a Knas, and therefore an Eilinus doesn't have a Knas because she went from Ketana to Begeris, and a Ketana doesn't have Knas, Begeris doesn't have a Knas, only a Naira. And he argues on one, and he holds like Rabbi Yehuda that a Naira could refuse her husband until Yirba Shachar al-11. Rafam says more of a Balabatasha answer. The entire thing goes according to Rav Meir. You had a problem with Mimanis. My Mimanis? Harui l'main. Mimanis doesn't mean a girl who refused her husband. Mimanis means a Ketana. Who could do meal? A Ketana. It means Ketana. Says Gemara. So then why are you calling her Mimanis? Vilisnik Ketana. Isn't it a lot better just to be direct and say the real word? You're trying to say a Ketana, so say Ketana. Why are you using a funny word? Kasha. That's a good kasha. Next, we said, Eilunas ein lo knas v'lo pitur. An Eilunas doesn't have knas and doesn't have the pitur, the seduction. If you seduce the woman, doesn't have to pay. If she's an Eilunas, she can't have children. Oh, I should have put up Yosef. If you hear this, maybe put up the picture that Yoshi drew for Eilunas. Because it comes from the word of ayil, a ram. A male ram can't have children, obviously. No male could have a child. So we call it Eilunas. Vermini. I have a question. Hachireshes v'ashoito. If she's a deaf mute and a shoito. Ve'o Eilunas. Now, we have to remember the first part and the second part. We're talking about Eilunas, but don't forget the first two. Hachireshes v'ashoito. What does it say? Yesh lahen knas. They do have a knas. If somebody violated them, they have a knas. You just told me Eilunas doesn't have a knas. But we're really going to be asking the question about the chereshes and the shaita. It says yesh lam knas. V'yesh lahen tainas psulim. What does tainas psulim mean? Again, going back to the beginning of himself. Tainas psulim means that the husband could have a taina on them, not that they have a taina. The husband could say, hey, I married this woman. I thought she has psulim. Yes, she's a shaita, but I thought she has psulim. I was going to give her 200 zuz ksuba. She wasn't a psula. How does he know? Either pesach pasuach or there's no dam. Okay. V'ha my rumya. Ask the Gemara, what is the question that you're asking me on an Eilunas? Ha Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir is the one who says that only a naira has a knas. And an Eilunas is not a naira. Eilunas is a ketana, not a naira. Or a begeris. So there's no knas. So it goes according to Rabbi Meir. The Bryce that says that an Eilunas does have a knas doesn't go according to Rabbi Meir. It goes according to the Shita, Harabanan. That even a ketana has a knas. So if a young girl that's 7 years old has a knas, so to an Eilunas. Says the Gemara, the answer is so simple. So then what was your question to begin with? I don't understand your question. You're asking me a contradiction between two Bryces. It's so obvious. The one that says there's a knas because a ketana has a knas. The one that says there's no knas because it goes according to Rabbi Meir, there's no knas. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you, forget about the contradiction between Bryce 1 and 2. I'm asking a contradiction. This Tana who came and asked a contradiction, he wasn't referring to these two. He had a third Bryce. There's another problem. It says in the third Bryce, Begeres is, we see in the chart, the blue one, past 12 and a half. A girl who lost her psulim
from an instrument, from a piece of wood, ein lohen tainas psulin. Now, if you remember, a second ago we said, 6 lines up, achireshes v'ashoita yesh lahem tainas psulin, yesh lahem knas. They have a knas. And now we're saying, oh, sorry, hashoita v'arugeres umugas says ein lohen tainas psulin. Yeah, and before we said yesh lahem tainas psulim, you could. The husband could claim that he didn't find psulim, and now we're saying the opposite. Ein lohen tainas psulim. The husband can't claim anything. So what if he didn't find psulim? Too bad. Now, hasuma, a blind woman, violinist, yesh lahem tainas psulim. You could taina against them that you didn't find psulim. Anyways, the contradiction is, it says over here, before we learned Yesh Lam Tainas Psulim. And now Simcha says, Meshumer Meir, Suma Ein La Tainas Psulim. We have a machlokes whether or not a blind woman is responsible to have psulim, so to speak. Could the husband say, oh, I didn't find psulim, I'm not going to give you a ksuba of 200. Or Rav Sheish is like Hashi. Ha Rabbi Gamliel, Ha V'ha Rabbi Shua. If you recall, we had a machlokes from Gamliel and Rabbi Shua. Gamliel is of the opinion that any woman, when the husband says, I didn't find psulim, now, there's 2 ways, as I mentioned before, 2 ways that he could say there's no psulim. First of all, if he has a sheet and he doesn't find dam, so he has a good taina. There's nothing to do about that. But if he taina is pesach pesuach, I didn't feel psulim, so the woman could say, it happened after I got engaged to you. Staf chasadeyu, your field got ruined. And therefore what? As the Gemara is going to explain, when it comes to chireshes and a shaita, even though she doesn't claim that claim, but since a normal woman could claim that, so we claim it for her. That's what the Gemara is going to say. And Vaha Rabbi Yeshua, a woman is not believed to say nistaf chasadeu. She's not believed to say that it happened under your watch. MMA law, he does have a tainus psul. Says the Gemara, that's only good if the woman herself claims it. If she's deaf mute and she doesn't say anything, that we're going to say it for her, and we are going to say it for her. Since a regular woman is believed to say that it happened under your watch, so in this case where she's a shaita, there's a pasuk that says that you should have a taina. It's a pasuk in Mishlei. You should have if somebody can't have a taina, you should say it for him. You hear? If somebody is weak, somebody is old, somebody is young, you need to stand up for them. There's again, Amerikanische idea of mind your own business. Let them take care of themselves. We don't have that. If you see somebody who's weak, like a shaita, who can't talk, can't express herself, she can't claim it happened, we have to step up and do it for them. For instance, Marshall, perhaps, if a guy comes to shul, and it happens to us all the time, that these are things that happen day after day, every day. Somebody comes to shul, he's a brand new guest. In a way, he's a ilim. He can't stick up for himself. He doesn't know where to sit. So we have a chiyuv to say, hey, sit down over here, shalom aleichem. This is a good seat for you. You're not going to get kicked out. V'chulu, v'chulu. But perhaps the best example would be somebody that doesn't learn Torah, or somebody that doesn't learn enough Torah, or somebody that doesn't know how to learn Torah. Somebody like that is a real ilim. He's a mute when it comes to Torah. Psach picha, you have to teach him and you have to say, hey, learn some Daf Yomi. Come on. You have a chiyuv. You can't stand on the side and watch him just go to waste. You have a chiyuv. We always have a chiyuv to help the other person when he doesn't know how to help himself. Psach picha li'ileim. Saying 2 lines from the bottom. So if a girl is over 12 and a half years old,
she can taina, or the husband can taina that he didn't find psulim. Okay? In other words, maybe she lost it naturally. It's just natural that she shouldn't have psulim, so he can't taina it. As the Gemara of Amarav, Boigeres Noisen La Laila Harishain. A woman who's over 12 and a half years old, the first night after the chasana, there's no dam nida. We don't associate dam to nidus. We say the dam that he found is all from psulim, and therefore he could continue to have relations that night, etc. She's a begeres. She doesn't have psulim at all. We just said she's a begeres, and naturally she lost her psulim. So how do we give her these dam psulim? Returning to Daf Yomi Amud Beis, sponsored by Moshe Horn, in honor of Zach, the Rock Rocklin and Lenny Lerner, and Yaakov Cohen, the official MDY MSP, and Hudi Newman, in honor of Rebelli. Says the Gemara, Daf Yomi Amud Beis on top. If he himself is the one that says, I didn't find it, you're right. He never said he didn't find dam. What he said was, he didn't find the Pesach Besuach. He found the Pesach Besuach. He didn't feel that there's psulim. A blind person doesn't have psulim. My time is simcha. So what if she's blind? Why shouldn't she have psulim? It really needs to be explained. Says Gemara, because a blind person, maybe because she's blind, she doesn't see so well, so she could trip and fall. And if she trips and falls, maybe that's how she lost her psulim. Says Gemara, almost every girl that ever lived, once upon a time, fell and tripped, and maybe that's how she lost her psulim. Says Gemara, any regular girl who's not blind, if she had that kind of injury that she lost her psulim, she'll see dam. She sees dam, she'll run to her mother. And her mother will explain to her, it's dam psulim. And then, in return, she'll take that information and tell her chassan, by the way, don't get concerned if you don't find psulim. I once fell and I had an injury. This blind girl, she doesn't know that she had dam. She doesn't know she has dam. She won't show her mother won't tell her. We'll continue with the brisa. A woman who left her husband because she had a shemra. In other words, the Gemara understood that there were eidim that testified to the fact that she was mizana and she got divorced. She has to get divorced. If she's mizana after her engagement, which is erusin, not engagement like today, and she was mizana, there's eidim, they have to get divorced. Says the Gemara, if there's eidim, she must be put to death. If there was a rumor when she was younger that she had relations, so Mamela, she's not a psula. And it says in the pasuk, we're going to need this pasuk for later. So she's not a psula. Forget about the knas. So I could take the svar that we say by a woman who has a shemra. She has a rumor. People talk about, this girl, she's mizana when she was younger. So she has no knas. If so, if there's the same thing, when you have a document that has some reyus, that people talk about it, that it's not a good one, you can't use it to collect money. Says if you're going to tell me it's a case where everybody talks about it, that you should know it's a forged document. So you have to say it's similar to our case. Rav Papa learned it from our case. So that's the same case here. There's a rumor that she was mizana. Barava already paskin Yosef Hashem mizana be'ir, if she had a name that she had znus with a guy,
somebody that passes her, makes her a zayna, and therefore she's usher to a kohen. Don't worry about it. She can marry a kohen. It's just a rumor. Okay. Piece of equipment I got in somebody complained. There's a few complaints. One of them was, hold on, let me just readjust that. One of them was that the sound wasn't good. It was like I was whispering. Well, first of all, I'm in a public place. There's a lot of non-Jews that don't appreciate the daf. So I don't want to scream right in their face. It turns out that when I said good morning, Rabbi Yosef, over there by the watering hole, my whole family heard it, and there was a lot of people there behind the wall. Okay. But also, I didn't have the proper equipment. Even though I was recording audio, but I couldn't upload it, and now, Baruch Hashem, should be better. The audio should be better. Then somebody said, well, your face, you're in the shade, and it doesn't come out. So I'm using one light that I brought with me. Hopefully that corrects the issue a little bit. Okay. But it was behind the computer, so my mail didn't really work. Okay. Zok the Gemara. So what happens is, so you don't have to worry about rumors. A woman is mizana, that's not enough of a reason not for a kohen not to marry her. But what is a good reason? This woman came directly to two people. We're being made, Eidos. This woman came and she was teveya. She said, I want to have relations with you. She approached them. Now they were good people and they said, get out of here. However, since she's that type of person, it's very likely if she went to those two people, she most likely went to somebody else also. And Memela, that's why we have to be concerned with the rumor or the eidos that these two people said. So therefore, by Ishtar, we have to say the same thing. Two people said that somebody came and approached them and said, hey, are you good forgers? Please forge the signature. Says the Gemara, wait a minute. There are plenty of men that will take up this woman on her offer. Just because these two people refused her doesn't mean there won't be others, and we have to be concerned with that. Just because he is a forger and he's looking for people to forge, so that's why we should be concerned that this shtar is a forged shtar. Hachanami, says the Gemara, Kivin the Mahader, Azyufa, Imar Azyufa Zayifu Kosav. The pshat is as follows. Since he is looking for somebody to forge signature, so he's a bad guy. So a bad guy, we have to be concerned that maybe he himself went along and he himself learned how to do it and he learned how to forge and he forged the signatures. Rabbi Isai, we're holding Daf Lamed Vav. At least 6 days ago, I would say, 7 days ago, is when we had our last Mishnah, the beginning of Elul Nairos. So this is the second Mishnah in Elul Nairos. Been working hard on the first Mishnah, and it's been very geschmack. Says the official Mishnah, sponsored by Moshe Cohen for hatzlacha with limud Torah and Parnasa. Velu she'ein len knas. We brought this Mishnah a few times. Geschmack stuff to learn out here with the sounds of nature. It's not made up, it's the real thing. But when I was preparing shir, the elephants were literally fighting. Literally, they were screaming and making noises, and zebras were running by. But during shir, it's a simcha min hashamayim. Shouldn't be any noise. We shouldn't be disturbed by the animals. Okay. 1 minute before shir, a parrot landed right over there, was looking at me and made a few sounds. I thought I would give him some food, maybe, I don't know, and moved away. Not for shir. Ve'elu she'ein lohem knas. These are the women who do not have a knas. Why? Because it says in the pasuk here, you see in chart number 3, she must be, in order to get a knas, she has to be a psula. These are women who don't have psulim. If she's a convert, she's a giyaris. Most goyim are parot. They have a chazaka. They don't have psulim. Now this is a Jewish woman who was captured, and we know what the goyim do to captured women. And a slave. Shenivdu,
who were freed, v'sheniz gairu, and became geirim, v'nishtachu, shenivdu were redeemed, v'shenishtachu, they were, what's the word in English? Nishtachu, they were freed. Freed and redeemed. Yisero Yisabon Shalishanim, we already had, if a girl was less than 3, because the psulim come back, we said the Ricki Racheli, that if there's a extra year, it goes by the Kiddush Levana of Chacham, that's when the psulim come back. Okay. But if this all happened after you're 3 years old, so the psulim don't come back, and in Mela, there's no knas. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Shvuish, and if this, it's not true, says Rabbi Yehuda, a woman, a Jewish woman who was captured, Harei B'Kedushasa, she wasn't violated. Fine. Says the Mishnah, Habal Bitoy, if somebody had relations with his own daughter. Now, let me ask you something. If somebody had relations with his own daughter and he had to pay knas, who would he pay the knas to? We know that a knas goes to the father. So how in the world could this even take place? The Rishonim talk about it. Habal Bitoy, Albas Bitoy on his granddaughter, Albas Binoy, his granddaughter from his son, Albas Ishtoy from his wife's daughter, even though it's not his own daughter, Albas Bino on the daughter of his wife's son, Albas Bita, his wife's granddaughter. Eilein Knas, there's no Knas. Because he's Chayiv Misa. Shemisas Midei Bezdin. A Misa that happens in Bezdin. And if somebody is Chayiv Misa, he doesn't have to pay a Knas. We're very familiar with this hatzlacha. In the pasuk that describes a man who hit a woman who was pregnant and she lost her baby, then he has to pay for the vlad. But if there was a death involved, if the woman died, he doesn't pay. In other words, there's no Misa and Knas. Omar Rabbi Yochanan. Says Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabbi Yossi Daisa Amru Davar Echad. Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah and Rabbi Daisa say the same thing. Just want to point out that this is the mahalach of the Gemara. This is the derech of the Gemara to do this. The Gemara sometimes says this Tana that we just said is exactly the same as this other Tana, and then the Gemara goes back to say, well, maybe not. Let's think about what the difference can be. The Gemara does that. So as we're saying this, maybe you should think to yourself, why it could be different. How could you be mechalik between the two? Rabbi Yehuda Hadam Maran, we just mentioned Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda says that if a woman was captured, doesn't mean that she was necessarily violated. Rabbi Daisa, and who's Rabbi Daisa? The Sanya. Shvuei Chaz B'Truma. Rabbi Daisa says a Kayan girl who was captured could continue to eat truma. Typically speaking, if a guy violated her, she no longer eats truma. We don't have to be concerned. No. So they're saying the same thing, l'chayr, right? We're not concerned that the guy violated her. Shvuei Chaz B'Truma de Rabbi Daisa. Amar Rabbi Daisa, and Rabbi Daisa explains, this terrible guy, this Aravi, what do you think he did to her? This is a lashon of just because he touched her inappropriately doesn't mean that she becomes pasal kuna. We're not choishish that he violated her completely, that there was bia. Maybe it was just inappropriate touching. Says the Gemara, maybe there's no correlation between Rabbi Daisa and Rabbi Yehuda. Maybe they're saying different things. That's the beauty of the Gemara. To be mechalik between different things. How this might be similar to this, but not. Why yes, why not? Listen to this beautiful svara. What I'm saying is, says Rabbi Yehuda, if this Russia Marusha goes ahead, this poor woman, she was captured. She comes out of captivity, comes this Russia, grabs her and violates her. And what is he thinking to himself? I won't even have to pay for this. You know why? Because she was captured yesterday. Mamisha Russia. This poor woman, what she was soivel in her life, and he goes and he adds to it, thinking to himself that he won't have to pay a fine because she's a shvuya. Says Rabbi Yehuda, you know what? Let's penalize him. He should pay a fine. That a person who sins shouldn't benefit. Okay, but that's only by a shvuya. It doesn't mean that Rabbi is going to allow this same woman to eat truma. He's going to allow this woman to receive a penalty, but not to eat truma. Beautiful nafkamina. Maybe he holds that she's not allowed to eat truma. Inami, or let's flip it around. We could say the opposite kind of svara. We had this already a few daf ago. Bisman as trumas derabanan. Also, what other things are midrabanan? Like we had the list. I don't have it with me. I pointed out only wheat and barley, dagon, tirish v'yitzar, grapes, wine, and yitzar, olives, oil. That's deraisa. All other things are rabbanon. But bisman we're talking about bisman. We're not talking about that. But bisman it's derabanan. So I'll let her eat. We don't know for a fact she was violated. There's a very high percentage she was, but we don't know for a fact. Let her continue eating truma. But how could you take knas? How could you penalize somebody? How could Chacham say, "Oh, you know what? Let's give him a penalty," when in fact he's not chayiv? What? That you think that's the logic in Rabbi Yehuda? That's the svara that we give the guy a knas so that he shouldn't benefit. Tanya, I'll give you a case where there's no benefit. There's no benefit. He's not a chayta, and he does benefit. Where? Rabbi Yehuda says that if she was captured, she continues. We don't say that she was violated. She gets a ksuba of 200. What's the husband is not a sinner. Why should he have to pay a 200 ksuba? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you the svara. If we say that she has a halacha of somebody that was violated, people might not come to marry her. Even in Yisrael, we'll say, "Oh, she was violated by the Goyim. She was once captured. I don't want to marry her." MMA law. That's why we say. Hold on a second. Oh, okay. That's why we say that no, she wasn't violated. Says the Gemara, you're telling me that she wasn't violated at all according to Rabbi Yehuda. She remains in her same kedusha she had before. But we learned that somebody who redeems a captured woman, let's say the guy in demand $10,000 and bounty, what's the lashon, whatever it's called, and he goes and he pays the $10,000, he's permitted to marry her. But if he testifies that she wasn't violated, he's a kohen, and he testifies she wasn't violated, lo yiseno, he can't marry her. He can't rely on his own testimony. So remember this word, loy, because pretty soon we're going to take the word loy out. Put it on the side. But for now, and then we're going to go back, but this word loy is very important. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's the one that redeemed her. It doesn't matter if he's the one that testified that she wasn't violated. Should not marry her. He's biased. Don't let him marry her. Let's explain the words. First you say you could marry her. Then you say if he redeemed her and he testified. So the Gemara understood as he's doing both. He redeemed her and then he also testified about her. Just because he testified, that's why he loses his privileges. Holy kasha. Says the Gemara, that's not a concern. If he redeems this captured woman and he testifies he could marry her, as they say in English, put your money where your mouth is. In other words, let's see that you're serious. If you truly believe, you're kind, you believe that she wasn't violated, you testified, you can marry her if you redeemed her, if you pay $10,000 for it. You wouldn't put all that money into it if you weren't 100% certain that she's not tar. Okay. Says the Gemara. Kashya l'Reb Yehuda. So you see that a captured woman is asur. You're saying that according to Rabbi Yehuda, a captured woman is never asur. You see that she's asur. Omer Rav Papa, Ema, Rabbi Yehuda, Omer benkach yisoena. Take out the word loy. Now it's fine. He could marry her. We're not concerned. He could marry her. Don't take out any words. It's not healthy, so to speak, to take out words. Start making changes that are 180 changes. Leave it as is. Rabbi Yehuda says, Benyo Yisena. Rabbi Yehuda the Rebbe Rabbanan Karmelu. He wasn't saying for himself. Rabbi Yehuda was saying to Chachamim, don't you agree, according to your shita, that you don't trust that she wasn't violated? Then nobody can marry her. How could a Chaim marry her? I hold she wasn't violated, so it doesn't matter if you redeemed her, it doesn't matter if you testified for her, it doesn't matter if you didn't do anything. You could always marry her. She was fine. Nobody violated her. But according to you, that you say that somebody that redeemed her could marry her, how could that be? So what's the svar in Chacham? How could a Kain marry this woman after he redeemed her? Maybe he's biased. Maybe he's doing it because he wants to marry her. If he redeemed her, he's not going to just throw his money out, spend $100,000 on this captured woman, and then only later on somebody's going to testify that she was violated. Not true. Can't be. But if a person just testified on her, didn't pay any money, zero money, he can't marry her. Shema einav nasan ba. Also because perhaps he found interest in her, and that's why he's lying and he's testifying falsely. Just want to say a quick joke. We're here in the safari. In terms of a person putting his money where his mouth is. So a guy comes to a doctor on Shabbos. Comes to the doctor on Shabbos. He says, and it happens to my shver almost every Shabbos, people knock on the door, doctor, I need stitches, this, that, the whole thing. The guy comes to the door, says, doctor, help me. Pikuach nefesh, pasha pikuach nefesh. He says, okay, come inside. He takes him down to his office. He says, okay, turn on the light. I need to see what's going on. He says, turn on the light, it's Shabbos. He says, you said it's pikuach nefesh. I got to see what's going on here. He says, no, it's not. I didn't mean it. The guy turned around and ran out of the house. So sometimes you have to put your money where your mouth is. You say pikuach nefesh, so turn on the light. You say that she's tahar, so pay the ransom. Oh, that was the word, ransom. And with that, Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day. Let me just see. Maybe the animals are ducking down. Maybe I'll just show you real quickly. Otherwise, here. Let's see what's going on here. Nope. Not an elephant in sight. There's so many all day long. Garnished now. Garnished. Okay.